The Democratic leadership has finally woken up and is saying to Trump that we're not backing down from a fight.
From the last plane to the last bullet to the last minute to the last man, we fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight! We fight!
And despite multiple warnings from Trump so far, Governor of Illinois, JB Pritzkers, isn't backing down to Trump's threats to send in the National Guard to Chicago.
Instead, I say, Mr. President, do not come to Chicago.
Pritzkers dropped a bombshell on Trump during this announcement today. But if you guys aren't up to date on the story, don't worry, I'll fill you in on it. If you just want to hear the best bits of Pritzkers' announcement, then check the timestamps below. And while you're down there, make sure to subscribe to Really American. All right, let's jump right into it. Last Friday, Trump made a threat to the entire nation that he was going to send in the National Guard into blue cities, of course, only blue cities like New York, Chicago, LA, and in classic Trump fashion, he's sort of just making it up as he goes.
The president floats the possibility of extending federal deployments to other U.S. cities, including Chicago.
We may wait, we may or may not. We may just go in and do it, which is probably what we should do. They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help.
But late today, this from Chicago's Democratic mayor, who notes the city's murder rate is down 32% from last year.
This stunt that this president is attempting to execute is not real. It doesn't help drive us towards a more safe, affordable big city.
And Illinois Democratic Governor JB Pritzkers posting this video along Lake Michigan.
And we got a lot of people running, having a great time.
Insisting the city does not need assistance from federal law enforcement.
Mr. President, do not come to Chicago. You are neither wanted here nor needed here.
While the president pushing back on Democratic accusations that he's behaving like a dictator.
A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic.
Now, Chicago isn't like D.C., which is under federal government control, and therefore Trump is able to just militarize the police. Well, at least temporarily. In order for Trump to legally send in the military, he would need for two things to be true. He would need for there to be an actual emergency, and he would need a formal request from JB Pritzkers. The first thing isn't happening, as there isn't any actual crime wave emergency. The mayor of Chicago cited 2025 crime statistics, which show a 30% reduction in homicides, a 35% reduction in robberies, and a nearly 40% drop in shootings. And the second thing he needs is definitely never going to happen. As JB Pritzkers pointed out in his press conference, that he didn't request for Trump to do this, he doesn't want Trump to do this, and he just straight up calls Trump's bluff harder than Phil Ivey at the World Series.
I want to speak plainly about the moment that we are in and the actual crisis, not the manufactured one, that we are facing in this city and as a state and as a country. If it sounds to you like I am alarmist, that is because I am ringing an alarm, one that I hope every person listening will heed, both here in Illinois and across the country. Over the weekend, we learned from the media that Donald Trump has been planning for quite a while now to deploy armed military personnel to the streets of Chicago. This is exactly the type of overreach that our country's founders warned against. And it's the reason that they established a federal system with a separation of powers built on checks and balances. What President Trump is doing is unprecedented and unwarranted. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It is un-American. No one from the White House or the executive branch has reached out to me or to the mayor. No one has reached out to our staffs. No effort has been made to coordinate or to ask for our assistance in identifying any actions that might be helpful to us. Local law enforcement has not been contacted. We have made no requests for federal intervention. None. We found out what Donald Trump was planning the same way that all of you did. We read a story in the Washington Post. If this was really about fighting crime and making the streets safe, what possible justification could the White House have for planning such an exceptional action without any conversations or consultations with the governor, the mayor, or the police? Let me answer that question. This is not about fighting crime. This is about Donald Trump searching for any justification to deploy the military in a blue city, in a blue state, to try and intimidate his political rivals. This is about the President of the United States and his complicit lackey, Stephen Miller, searching for ways to lay the groundwork to circumvent our democracy, militarize our cities, and end elections. There is no emergency in Chicago that calls for armed military intervention. There is no insurrection. There is no insurrection. Like every major American city in both blue and red states, we deal with crime in Chicago. Indeed, the violent crime rate is worse in red states and red cities. Look around you right now. Does this look like an emergency? Look at this. Go talk to the people of Chicago who are enjoying a gorgeous afternoon in this city. Ask the families buying ice cream on the Riverwalk. Go see the students who are at the beach after school. Talk to the workers that I just met taking the water taxi to get here. Find a family who's enjoying today sitting on their front porch and ask if they want their neighborhoods turned into a war zone by a wannabe dictator.
It's not exactly clear if Trump is actually going to be able to follow through with this. There aren't any riots happening in Chicago like there were in LA in order to use as a pretense to send in the National Guard. According to the New York Times, Mr. Trump, hilarious not calling him president, could send more federal law enforcement officers to Chicago from the FBI, the DEA, or other agencies. He could also invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy active duty military personnel for civilian law enforcement, but it is not clear what justification he could offer for such an extreme move. The act gives the president the power to send in military forces to states to quell widespread public unrest and to support civilian law enforcement agencies. Now, Chicago has long been the boogeyman for conservative pundits for years, painting the city as a lawless Gotham without a Batman, where you're just as likely to find a criminal as you are a pigeon. When in reality, Chicago is a wonderful place to live. I lived there myself for many years. It is by far the most lied about city in America. But of course, conservatives are more scared of cities than they are the devil himself. After all, they fucking voted for him. Stay up to date on what Trump doesn't want you to know by subscribing to Really American. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.